And the question is, I want to do my next tank with only Anubias. Any recommendations on the type?
Well, it's interesting. Attached to hardscape, they do have roots that will go down into the substrate, but the answer is really the same though, because they have to be able to pull nutrients out of the water column, and in a brand new tank, there just aren't many nutrients in there. You need a fish population and a fairly substantial one to be able to have the kind of nutrient you need. Now, you can do it with fertilizer. The problem with that is that you're only going to get leaf growth. You're not going to get much in the way of tuber growth. I think my advice would be the same. To start with plants like swords and val, corkscrew, jungle val, any of the vals, any of the swords, and then begin building in. Once you get it established after a few months and they're growing, well, then start adding Anubias. You can do it. You run the risk of them languishing for a long period of time. They're not likely to die, but they're not likely to grow for months on end. Eventually, you will see growth. I mean, if you can tolerate that, then by all means, go for it. I would rather have good growth from day one and then be able to bring plants like Anubias into a healthy environment rather than try to get them in essentially a sterile environment and hope they live long enough to get over the hump. All right, Adam is here.
Hey.
What do we got here?
Give you an update on the cylinder. We're about, I don't know, a year and 4 months in. And if I learned one thing with this forum is get out of the way. And these plants take turns fighting for dominance. You can see like we're really starting to step up.
Right.
But up top, I did put Anubias from your catalog across the top. And you're right. They went to sleep for about 90 days. And just now, if you look across the top there, that's all Anubias. They're starting to pop up.
Yep. Amazing.
So I want to see them grow kind of almost all the way up to the water surface there and all the way up to the top.
Right, right.
That'll be beautiful.
But then you can see like what really, it's funny how you taught us all, like let it fight for dominance, let it set itself up. And look at these beautiful on the side here. These are gorgeous.
Yeah.
I mean, that's about 3 feet long. If you can't tell from this, it's about 3 feet high.
Yeah, that's a big plant.
And then this guy in the middle, and Father Fish, I don't remember, maybe you know what that is, but
an Amazon sword.
Okay, right in the middle there.
Yeah.
And he's just, man, that one just took off like this is my tank. And now this other guy over here is saying, well, maybe not so fast,
Right.
So I try to cut them back once in a while, but I just kind of let them go, and they're coming in pretty nice. So that's a good update on where we're at.
Nice.
Actually, we've got another question right here. Is a seahorse considered a fish?
That's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
Is it considered a fish? Is it considered a fish? Well,
That's a pretty good question.
I would say no more than a crab is considered a fish. It does not have scales. It does not have a skeletal structure. It has an exoskeleton. It does have essentially the same finnage. It's got two pectoral fins, a dorsal fin. I don't think it has a ventral fin. In fact, I and no, it doesn't. It has a prehensile tail. That doesn't exclude it, but it makes it unique. No, I would say a seahorse, and I'm sure it depends how you define your terms, but I would not consider it a fish. Is it in the aquatic kingdom? Certainly it is. Um, but it doesn't meet kind of the basic criterion for fishhood, which is to have bones. It does not have bones. It does not have scales. Not all fish have scales. And sharks don't have bones. They have cartilage. So it's really not an absolute in that sense. But I would consider both eels and there are other fish too that don't have scales, and sharks as being fish.
Mhm. That's
So
really interesting.
it's curious, isn't it? Nice to be with you this evening.